What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Spencer, and I'm doing another revisit today of a deck I did a little bit ago. I think it was probably over a month. Was this Uria Sacred Beast deck that's centered around Hyperblaze. And I've said this before, but this is your first time. I don't think you can fit all three strategies, all the new support into one deck. It just doesn't really make sense. You can't slash some trap cards in there, not other ones. So I think you can center. Honestly, I don't like the Raviel support. I don't think this is an OTK deck. I think this is a control deck. And if you guys are interested in seeing that kind of stuff, go ahead and check out the rest of the channel. I've had a few videos where I show off the control variant of it, which is really fun. But this is the casual side of it. But I will say this in my revisiting of it. The control side, I mean, if you're going first, this deck is a powerhouse, man. Like, you gain a dumb amount of advantage, as the game progresses, but your opening is usually just so explosive. I'm talking like in just me playing it recently, like a 95-85% consistency rate going first. Now, going second is where all the problems come in. I'm not going to be, I don't want to be facetious to you guys. I'm going to be honest with you. Going second this deck is pretty darn terrible. So hope you win the dice roll kind of thing. But I think that's the case for a lot of things, and people don't want to admit that necessarily. But let's go through the replays. I got quite a few for you guys. And it used to be Sacred Beast in your hand was like a disaster, but now it's actually pretty good. And you guys can see this is a pretty decent opening. I'm going to summon Uria just simply because I have this Hyper Blaze here. And I do run this Charge of the Light Brigade, as you guys know, and I do have this deck. This deck profile is common knowledge, although I have changed it up, I guess, a little bit. But it's still the idea is that you have Light Sworns to dump traps, and hopefully you hit them into the graveyard. So the guy didn't have much. I have Hyper Blaze now, and then yeah, advantage comes fast. With Sacred Beast Awakening in the mix here, and I think I wanted to pause this because I wasn't sure. Okay, so this is the reason why I played this duel, because obviously I just didn't open up very well. Now Hyperblaze is supposed to account for all traps, so I'm counting here: 1, 2, 3, 4. Can someone tell me if this is a glitch or if there's a ruling I just don't know about? I always like to display these because I legitimately don't understand. That should have been game in my opinion, but he's able to throw his blue eyes and he wins, but I wanted to show you that. But obviously, you guys can tell in 2 turns, like in terms of interruption and power, it's just, this is crazy. It's a really good board. Here's Ancient Warriors. I do run Pot of Extravagance, even though there is a lot of draw power. It's just, oh man, it's a good ratio, what I have for the draw power in this deck, I think. And I don't have Uria here, but I do have, pretty darn good control. Protection for Uria. I have spell and trap removal. And anything he summons, I'm going to gain a little extra off of it. He tries to use Red Eyes Fusion, and I can go ahead and negate that while still having these other forms of interaction. Like, he didn't even summon, which is crazy. He goes to Ash Blossom that. I negate it because I do want that draw, and at this point it doesn't really matter, right? He goes for Forbidden Droplets, but I can even negate that. I didn't have a spell card in his hand, luckily. And here we go. So now he can activate monster effects, which I think he tries to do here. Yep, that's not going to happen. Go ahead and summon this. I think he's going to try to attack it, but he doesn't. I don't think he realized it, right? Because he can't attack anything. And it's good to stall because trap cards, like, obviously are just inherently slow. Especially if you don't open up with Hyperblaze, it can be kind of annoying. It's just so many play starters in this deck, and it's so fun. This is awesome. So this is where also part of the synergy. Obviously, you want to dump your traps into the graveyard, but every once in a while you'll mill your Dark Summoning Beast, which is a combo piece, and you want that in your. It's like good to have that in your graveyard. So I'm able to go full combo now because of that Lightsworn draw and mill. It's sick. So, like I said, going first, this is so good. There can be only one, a Solemn Judgment, a Solemn Strike, and protection for all of them. And I finally dumped a spell and trap in the graveyard, but I go ahead and protect that. It's more important. So now that he won't be able to XZ summon, really go into the extra deck. I don't know why he tries to attack. I don't think he realized. Maybe frustration. Top deck hyper plays. And Uria is a good card. It is one of the better cards. I mean, depending on the matchup, I suppose. So I guess theoretically, if you're going to go use my deck profile from like the most competitive build, and you were to side in going first, I mean, I don't think this is a problem. If you were to go that way, but you would probably want to utilize your side deck like I had told you guys you would. Just depends. And they just have like, this is crazy. I mean, look at my hand. He surrendered, but yeah, it's not much you can do. There's not a lot of decks that can beat a board like that. Unless you were like mirror matching control like Guru, but even then, it's like, what are you gonna do really? He shotgunned his infinite impermanence, which I was just so surprised about. But this is Mechalords, and I recently went over those cards in the Should You Buy the Rage of Ra set. So I'm just trying to really survive. I mean, I do have 4,000 defense, which is always good. And now, knowing that I was playing Mechalords, I went ahead and fired that there could be only one, because that just puts a real damper on his stuff. But he is able to get removal on it, but he's not able to do anything else. So I'm able to kind of live with that decision. And I can summon this Uria now. Go ahead and draw 2. Probably should have put that in attack position, but I wasn't in place to attack this turn anyways with Uria. So, but now I have Hyper Blaze, and luckily it gains attack and defense with Hyper Blaze, which is pretty neat. I know this summons 2 because I just recently read it. It's gonna go ahead and destroy that Fallen Paradise, but that's okay. No biggie. He summons the bad boy, and he goes, okay, so I think this is where he made his mistake. So he's going to be able to get over this Hamon. Yes, that's a given. Now, you might be thinking, why does he go for Cerberus? He was so afraid of the protection that he went for Cerberus because that's a general form of removal. When I think in reality, he should equip one of these bad boys, which are like 3,000 attack. He may have been in a more advantageous place. So when I first played him, I was like, what is he thinking? He can grab any monster from extra deck. But I kind of see the vision now. But now that I have Hyper Blaze, I mean, what are you going to do, right? And he ended up stalling out, but this Hyper Blaze would have been pretty big. So that's really cool. A decent opening. Able to go Uria, draw 2. Let's see what I can get. Yeah, 7 gates is pretty good, right? Get both of my Sacred Beast with 2 forms of interaction, which is nice. Feeling okay about this. I feel like he's just going to go into Needle Fiber, and I was like totally right about that. Go ahead and negate that. And that's going to end his turn. There's really a lot of choke points in these Needle Fiber decks, as good as their end boards are. Needle Fiber just isn't great going second for sure. And now I have now he can activate monster effects, and any other trouble is going to be met with Solemn for sure. I think he's just searching, but it has no effect on me. And I mean, all the meanwhile, like the more he's trying to, I don't know, gain advantage. Again, I still understand how this card was a common. It sucks so bad. I wish it wasn't. But what are you gonna do? Look it's nuts, man. It's crazy what you can do with this deck sometimes, for sure. Boral Sword, the classic way to end games. You know, everyone uses access code talker now. And last but not least is Sky Strikers, which is known as a breaking board, like going second, obviously. And that deck profile, guys, is coming out soon. I finally got my last cards today. I had troubles with 2 different shipments for those, so I'm sorry about that delay. But the Numeron Sky Striker deck profile will be coming out fairly soon. Double Hyper Blaze is just nasty because you can use the effect twice. And I have a Solemn to help me out, to go along with the Fiendish Chain as well. He destroys one of the Hyper Blades. I was like, oh man, you stink, dude. Go ahead and Fiendish. I don't want to attack directly, gain any more advantage. I'll take the Shizuku or the Kagari. But since I negated it, it doesn't actually trigger Ray, which is really good. And I was able to dump it. He thinks I don't really care. Like, he ashes this charge of the Light Brigade, and I'm like, all right, that's your prerogative, man. But it's not the important part of any of this. And I go ahead and attack. That puts it up to 6,000, 4,000, plenty of games. So this deck, when it works, man, is just incredibly, incredibly fun. It's just one of those things. I was like, wow, I wonder how that's doing. But yeah, you have to be going first, basically. I've signed out some of the traps for kaijus and stuff, but it makes the deck a little more difficult. And I just want to. I've been trying to give myself a little bit more of a chance going second. But you guys can see what happens when things are working out. And that first turn consistency, like I said, is like, I'm going to say at least 85% in my experience of playing it over these past couple of days. Other than that, guys, that's going to do it for today's video, and I hope you have an absolutely wonderful day.